Hey guys, welcome back to RC Legends, and as always, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. And it's a good one! It's a build day. So, as promised, if you watched the last video on this, where I showed you this absolute time capsule that I found, so obviously it's a Kyosho Raider. It's not new in box, but it almost is. There's just a tiny little bit being built, so I'm going to get to experience the full build myself, which is just so cool. And as I said, I did promise that this would be jumping the build queue on this channel, just because I'm just so happy to have this, and I just want to see it finished. Also, winter's basically here, so spraying bodies is getting harder and harder. So over this weekend, I want to get both videos done, which will be the full chassis build, and then hopefully get a day where I can get the red paint on. So I really want to get this finished over this weekend. So I'm going to take my time with this build, and I hope you enjoy it. And as I always say, let's get cracking. Right, so I pretty much dug everything out, but normally I would open all the bags and everything, but I'm just going to do this step by step because I don't know if the instructions are as clear as a Tamiya one. Possibly they are, I don't know, but I think my thinking was I'll just leave stuff in the correct bags numbered for now and do it a stage at a time. So looking at the instructions, step 1 is the shocks and the front hubs in stage 2. So the shocks are here, but they're absolutely rock solid. Now these are only friction shocks, which a kit came with, but I'm going to have to open them up and grease those. So I was going to leave the shocks till the end, but looking at instructions, shocks and your front hubs, and then step, where is it? Get me some camera for you. Stage 3 is putting the front arms on. Stage 4 for front end's kind of done, top bars, and then the shocks on. So reason I'm telling you this is a bit that was built. This is the only bit that built, and the shocks, I guess. So the front hubs are on. I'm going to double check it over, make sure everything's tight before I go any further, and re-grease those shocks. So I need to get to that stage first before we go any further. Right, so just trying to play sort of catch up on what's done already. So I've done the shocks, that was very straightforward, just greased the shaft. Again, only friction shocks, both front and back. So they're freed up. So when I was looking at the manual to the bit that was already done, so I've started to put the bits on that were missed of these two brackets, and then the hardware for the top of the shocks that also holds the arm on. And then I'm looking, I'm like, so that's got to connect. I'm like, oh, that's not right. So I'm looking at the shape on the manual. So what the original owner has done, they fitted the rear arms to the front, because that's actually the front arms, and they're completely different shape, and obviously they're smaller. So yeah, I'm going to have to whiz all this off and get the correct arms fitted. But anyway, I'm enjoying this. Right, I believe I'm pretty much caught up and everything is correct now, I think. So that's up to stage 4 in the manual. So obviously the front end, correct front arms on now. These brackets, body mount post is on, and I've checked everything and everything's tight. And that's how the suspension works. Rather cool. Designed in '87 to keep the front wheels driving. Not so much torque steer or whatever it's called. Yeah, that's awesome. So back to the manual now. So now we should better get some momentum going. So moving on to stage 5 in the manual, which is this. What is it? Oh, so we're actually attaching the front end to the chassis. And that, my friends, is the first sight of the Raider chassis. Very cool. So that bolts, those brackets are put down, there's 4 bolts go through the top and then 2 underneath to secure that front end on. Yeah, that's cool. So moving on to stage 6, which is actually fitting the bumper. That's the bumper for countersunk head screws. Bumper's made of a different plastic. Well, not very soft, but it's pliable. You can just tell by the colour of it, it's different. Don't know what it is, but it looks cool. So anyway, that is us moving on to stage 7 now, which is a rear gearbox assembly. Right, so the first look, I've been into the blister packs, cut a few bits out, which is the Le Mans stock 05 motor the Raider came with. Normally, I know it's not a special motor as such, it's a basic 540, but black end bell, Kyosho markings. and then we've got a nice sticker on there. Yeah, normally I would like to sort of display that with my Kyosho motors, but I think for this, because I want to put the mechanical speed controller in it as well, so yeah, it'll be going in the car. And the thing I've never mentioned about this car is what's mega cool about it. It's a mid-motor two-wheel drive buggy from '87. Everything else that I know of was running the motors at the back. You have to leave in the comments actually what other from 1987, what other two-wheel drive buggies were running around two-wheel drive mid-motor. I'd be really interested to know that. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that. So now we're going to put some metal plates, the metal plate on here, and get it into the gearbox. The gearbox is one-piece mould. So yeah, let's get cracking. So that was a bit of messing around to get that in. So you've got this metal plate on the outside, and you've got this metal plate on the inside. You obviously have to line up. Now it gives you two options. So that's the kit pinion, which was in the blister pack, which is 14 tooth, and that uses a 36 tooth idle gear, and that goes in holes A and D, which I know that doesn't mean a great deal to you, but there's lots of different mounting holes. Obviously we're going complete box kit, you know what I mean. So anyway, that motor's in, but yeah, it took a while to line up properly. Right, moving on. Right, that's the gearbox. It's not done, but I wanted to show you at this stage. Very cool. So a couple of interesting things. So obviously I've shown you the motor. So this plastic, like, that's for adding more grease, that was off, and then you fitted this idle gear. But then you fitted that, and then you went for this centre gear here. Now this shaft has a hole in it for a split pin, and that gap there, so on the inside of the chassis to the gear, you've got to drop the pin in and then locate the gear. It's very fiddly, but I kind of got it second time, which was pure luck. Excuse me. Then moving on to the diff, which comes pre-assembled in the blister pack. So I just put the cups in to feel it, and it was horrible. So I had to open the diff up. My instructions to open a diff up are at the back. It's all metal diff, gear diff, and I just had to get rid of the old grease, which was just dry and pure stodge and hardly any of it. And then I've re-greased it, rebuilt the diff up. It still sounds metal, but it's way smoother than it was. And then sort of the overall, that's how that works. Very cool. So the next stage is to put the lid on the gearbox, but obviously what I'm going to do now is going to grease it all up with Tamiya grease. I'm sorry, Kyosho, but I'll get it all greased up and then we'll get that bolted down. Right, that's the rear gearbox pretty much finished, I think. So since you last saw it, the lid's on. Now the rear shock tower with the rear top arms are on. So cool to have it like a standalone. Oh no, that doesn't make sense, does it? I know what I'm trying to say, but it's just different. It's very different. And again, mid-motor. This is the back of the car. The motor was here. That's crazy. Anyway, moving on. So that was, top was 11, shock tower was 12. So moving on to 13 and 14, which is a rear arm assembly. So I'll get all that done next. And that's that stage complete. Very cool. Now what I didn't say earlier, the comes with kit comes with bushes, obviously. Very cool colour, that gunmetal grey colour. So there's no bearings in this. Might be something I revisit, but I very much doubt it. I'll talk about that at the end, what I want to do with this when it's finished. But anyway, interesting thing, a couple of interesting things. It's got the diff all metal, and then you've got the metal dog bones, metal inner and outer cups. Yeah, very cool. Normally, what I'm used to pack the drive shaft is, you know, you get Tamiya, like Tamiya kits to give you with that foam that you cut up and you push inside one or two pieces. This one's actually got springs that you fit in the inner cups, and that's what takes the slack up of the dog bones. That was the same movement. That feels, oh no, it has. That's a bit lower down. Why? What's the difference? I'll have to have a look at that and see if there is a difference. It might just be the way it's because it was never going to be that low. Sorry, just thinking on camera, which is never good. I suppose if you push, that's actually pushing the spring. Probably doesn't need all that movement once the shocks are on. Anyway, you get the gist of it. And when it's flat, I can just about turn the diff. It feels nice actually, the overall thing. And I have, if I grab the cups, I can. Oh, that's a very low ratio. I know I'm using the cups to turn the motor, but that's taking a lot to do that. Anyway, very cool. So if I'm turning that's moving slightly. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I think it's right. So moving on to stage 15, continuing with this back end. We're just going to fit the rear shocks to that now. And that's the shocks on. They're quite an odd position, the shocks. Now you feel just how friction shocky they are. Very cool though, very cool indeed. Damn. Anyway, that's stage 15. Moving on to 16 now, we're actually going to bolt, the rear gearbox, well, the full rear unit to the chassis. And there we have the beginnings, maybe more than the beginnings of the Raider. It's the first time I've ever seen the chassis properly like this. I was intrigued to see how it went together. So since you last saw it, we've put this like air bracket on, bolts down to we want bolt into the gearbox first of all, and then locates, clips in, 2 screws there. Underneath you got 4 bolts holding it in, 2 are self-tap on this side under the motor, and then on this side it's 2 nuts. And it's all very secure. But yeah, there you see it, a 2-wheel drive mid-motor car. I think that's rare, but you know, my knowledge on stuff like that, the technical side of it, is very minimal. But I'll be interested in the comments, if I'm sure some of you guys and girls will name other cars that went with this kind of setup. Very, very cool though. Right, so moving on, we've done that. So next is the steering, to get the steering rods in. So I'm going to try dig out an old servo. I've got loads of really old ones that don't work anymore, so I can get it in and it'll keep the wheels straight. Right, so the steering is in a fashion. So the rods are on, steering rods are on. They're all bent into shape for you. And then there's a fancy servo saver. But this servo saver is actually designed. So if you remember back in the day, the old radio sets, it used to come with servo heads, just like black discs with lots of little holes around the outside. So the idea was to use whatever servo is to put that disc, mount that disc first onto your servo, and then that's why I put a tie wrap around this to keep it together, and then 2 small screws from this section into your servo head. Now, I have got those servo heads somewhere, but it's going to slow me down too much digging one out, and it's making sure it's going to fit the servo I've got. So anyway, for now this is it, but it gives me the steering. It's just obviously the servo saver bits flopping around, but for now that's not a problem at all. I've also put the servo mounts in and the servo screws as well with washers. So, hang on, I'll try to show you that in case you weren't sure what I meant. So, where are we? So there's your servo head. I'm sure you recognise them. And the idea was to build all this up, which I've done, but on that last section 2 screws go straight into that servo head. Yeah, very cool. Showing its age, isn't it, my friends? Just like me. Right, moving on. In fact, let's just... So that's 17, not mounting that servo, which is 18. Okay, so 19 now is the mechanical speed controller, which is, and the heat shrink, and also some metal brackets as well. Don't know what any of that is, but let me dig it all out and we'll get cracking. Look at this vintage goodness, my friends. That is awesome. Yes, I've put a tyre wrap in the middle, and that's wrong. I do understand that this wouldn't work like that, but I've just done it for tidiness. So, wowzer. 3-step mechanical speed controller. So obviously there was supposed to be a second servo that goes down here, and then a little metal arm which I have that goes and operates that. Now I can operate this that way without damaging that black wire. So basically we had 3 speeds forward and reverse was full. Do you remember how much fun that was? You'd be ragging it around on your street or whatever, and then just jam it, go from full straight into reverse, and the wheels would just lock up and then start spinning and make that fantastic rear tyre sound. Oh, happy days, my friend, happy days. So yeah, I don't know where you would actually route that negative motor wire. So it didn't pull on this bit, but I would imagine that became a bit of an issue the more you run this car. Anyway, that's in position. I've connected the motor wires, and obviously the resistor with the 2 metal plates either side are in position with the spade crimps on. Super cool. Now, from what I can tell, and the instructions are not the best, your receiver is just supposed to go across here, but well, I'll show you, hang on. Let me just hold this. Right, just bear with me while I get this into position for you. So, this is what I was looking at. So, this is a picture of your receiver, as you can see. And so it's saying use separate section from decal sheet to wrap around your receiver. Don't know what that's for. And then there's a picture of your receiver, which is, as I say, on here. So yeah, very strange. And what's strange about it is it's showing to put these 2 screws with washers into the 2 brackets here. I have no idea what that is. No idea at all what that is. Not that it matters to me, but it's just strange. And that's pretty much the best diagram it's got. You got to remember this is 87, so the manuals were, well, they were as good as they got at the time, I guess. So yeah, I mean, for me, I'd just do it on Velcro on there. But I'm just intrigued, why put 2 screws with washers in there? I can't work that out, and I can't go any further in the manual, it doesn't tell me anything. But anyway, next on the manual, wheels and tyres, and then fit. Another interesting thing is, you get, in the last thing I opened on the blister pack was the rear hex metal alloy hexes. Awesome. Standard arrangement, apart from Kyosho, use a washer then a lock nut, but the fronts, believe it or not, have a plastic nut. That's crazy. I'm just looking now. M4 plastic nut, look, for your front wheels. Yeah, I'd imagine a few people changed that out rather quickly. Anyway, let's get the wheels on. Oh my word, I was looking forward to opening this bit up. Just to have brand new wheels and tyres is just off the chart. And the smell, oh my god. So it's only got, so this is the Raider rear tyre, very similar to the Hornet, but not quite as wide. Only the tyre writing at one side, and yes, in the next video I'm going to attempt to paint that tyre writing. So it's a mud star and then some numbers. That has to be done. Front's exactly the same, no writing on one side, and that's going to be really tricky. Bridgestone fronts, so cool. Look at that tread. Oh wow, got to be careful. I was kind of looking round when I was squeezing the tyre for any cracks, but doesn't appear to have any, unless I'm looking at a little phone screen. You might see something on the big screen. I don't know, but it doesn't look like it's cracking. But yes, I do have to get them onto the wheels, so I'm going to be as gentle as I can. And that, my friends, is a Kyosho Raider built, and that was so much, well, it was just so super enjoyable. It really was. And it's just dawned on me, I never actually thought at any point during the build, I wonder if anything's going to be missing. It just felt obvious that everything was there. So credit to the original owner and however many people have had it since then, for not losing anything, because that's very easily done. But yeah, just incredible. I have moved the You know me, I like them lower. So the rear shocks are a little bit more vertical than that, but I've moved it down one, and I don't think you're supposed to do that with these. I think the friction shocks are they're very short. Excuse me, and they're just supposed to go almost vertical. But by moving it down one, it lowers the car, and that's why I've done it. Because you know I like my cars lower, and all I'm doing really is matching the front because with the collars where they are, the front's only got that where it would have that if I moved the collars, but again a little bit too high for me, so I've just lined the back up, and I think when the body's on, that's going to be gorgeous, to be honest, as the ride height I'm talking about. Oh boy, that was fun. That was so much fun. And again, although this, as I alluded to earlier or in the first video, this car's got a special place in my heart just because a guy used to race one when I first went racing, and that's the reason why I had to have one, just to sort of fulfill my boyhood memories, as it were. But just, you know, to actually put that together myself, and while I'm doing that, just seeing how the Kyosho went together. You know, I think hopefully you've seen it. You know, and I'm not trying to compare Tamiya and Kyosho. We don't need to compare them, but the closest kind of thing, or a lot of people would say this is a Kyosho entry level buggy. But it's an entry level buggy for racing. That's what it was made for. Whereas I would disagree that the Grasshopper Hornet wasn't that. That was just a fun buggy. Yes, lots of people raced them back in the day, but you can tell just how this is made and the angles of the suspension and what have you, you know, to keep the car straight when it's moving around. Oh, super cool. Obviously the battery goes here, and it's supposed to be laggy bands that hold it in position. I have actually got the 4 elastic bands in the kit, but they've absolutely perished. But again, that's no biggie. Wow, super cool. And she's done. Oh my god, that was so much fun. Wowzer. I mean, again, I alluded to it in the first video. Unless kind of, I don't want to say money's no object, but if you've got plenty of disposable income and you can afford new in-box vintage kits to build, I mean, that is just off the chart. I guess that's what we would all love. I don't have that. This is why this is so special. So to get hold of this and have the full build experience, it's just seriously off the chart. Wayne is a gentleman I bought this off, or swapped this off. If you are watching, my friend, wow. Not one thing was missing, which is just incredible. I'm over the moon with it. It's the first time you can kind of feel the diffs, or the diff. And then, obviously, if I hold, oh gosh, hold that wheel. Yeah, it feels great. Needs running, obviously, to wear everything in, but yeah, so for you now, that's the end of this video. But for me, I'm cracking straight on with the second video to get the body shell cut out. The weather, I think we're at about 9 degrees, possibly going to hit double figures today, 10 degrees, which is not great, I know, but for me right now, I can spray in that. So I've got to get the body all cut out, but anyway, again, that's for the next video. I really want to get this, I have to get the paint on it today, that's my goal. Then after that, I can take my time and finish it off. And looking at, to do those tyre writing with the paint pen, that's going to be tricky. And I'm going to have to be mentally ready to do that. You'll know what I'm talking about when I say that if you've done it before, because when they're tricky, you've got to have, as maximum concentration, because I don't know about you guys and girls who do it, but I'll get into a flow and I've got the pen flowing correctly and I'm doing it and everything's great, I'm concentrating on it, and then like, ooh, something shiny will just come into my head and I'll start thinking about a movie or whatever, and that little lapse in concentration, you'll make a mistake. So I've kind of got to be really focused on it, but they have to be done because that's just going to look incredible. The only thing I would or will change on this car are the shocks. I'm going to look out for a set of the Kyosho Red oil shocks. First seen on, what will it first? Maybe the Optima. Maybe Optima the first time those shocks came out. And then it was on tons of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm not interested in going Kyosho Option House Gold shocks or Platinum. An absolute overkill. And I don't think it would particularly look that good. But yes, I would like a set of the red oil shocks. Obviously, with like the re for the, what is it, the Shogun? That's Marui. Turbo Scorpion and Javelin. You know, those a full red pair of shocks may be available. But that's what I want to do. And obviously, the rear ones will be longer than fronts will be probably longer as well. So, but I would imagine that's the only thing I'll change on this, just to get the correct oil shocks on it. Over the moon. I'm absolutely over the moon, and I'm starting to babble while I look at it. But yeah, so I need to shut up and get on with the next video. So really hope you enjoyed this, my friends. I did, and yeah, put any information down on the Raider if you've seen anything I've missed or whatever. There's a few nuts and bolts and little bits of plastic left over. I'm aware I've left the little plastic aerial mount off. But as far as I'm aware, everything else is on there. But yeah, if you did see anything that I've done wrong or whatever, please let me know in comments, because that is easily done for a dumbass like myself. So cool. So cool. Anyway, I should do this bit off camera, shouldn't I? As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Massively appreciated. Say hello in the comments, leave a thumbs up, thumbs down if you think I'm a dickhead. If you like what we do, subscribe, turn notifications on, all that good stuff. And stay tuned for part 2 of this. It's coming real soon. And as always, my friends, happy arseing.